The stars above Varelia looked peaceful, but down below, the planet was burning. The Drexer Dominion had arrived without warning. Giant black warships filled the sky. Their plasma cannons turned entire cities into firestorms. Varelian defense towers fell one by one. People screamed and ran. There was nowhere to hide. High Chancellor Laurel stood inside the great crystal chamber of the capital. Her green skin glowed under the emergency lights. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. "How many cities have fallen?" she asked. A young aide replied, voice broken. 7, maybe more. We've lost the Western Hemisphere. Our outer fleet is gone. Laurel closed her eyes. Then it's time. The aide's eyes widened. "You don't mean I do," Laurel said. "Activate the ancient beacon." 3 levels below the capital city, hidden in a sealed vault, untouched for centuries, rested a strange device. It was made of unknown metal, worn but still alive with silent power. A small Varelian team stood around it. One of them asked, "Do we even know if it still works?" The lead technician shook his head. "It's human tech. We've never fully understood it." But the Chancellor said to send the signal. With trembling fingers, he placed his hand on the console and pressed a black button. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the device began to glow. A deep hum filled the room. And far above the planet, dozens of hidden satellites blinked awake in deep space. Near a dead star, a small human satellite, long forgotten by the galaxy, spun slowly in the dark. It hadn't moved in over 300 years, until now. The moment the Varelian signal reached it, it shifted. Its systems reactivated. Silent engines fired. A hidden antenna unfolded. It began to transmit one message. Distress signal received. Code 09A. Human beacon protocol activated. On Sentinel-9, a human war stationed thousands of light years away. In a cold, quiet part of space, a giant human space station floated in the dark.
Ow.
Sentinel-9 had no lights, no sound, no visitors. Most thought it was dead. But inside, deep in the command core, a screen lit up. A message flashed. Varelia requesting emergency. AID. Coordinates locked. Code 09A triggered. An officer in black armor walked forward. His name was Commander Thorin, and he had been waiting a long time for this. He pressed a button. All hands wake up. The galaxy just called. Behind him, thousands of humans began to wake from stasis. Engineers ran to weapons control. Pilots entered their warships. AI cores lit up with blue light. Meanwhile, back on Vareliath, beacon room grew quiet again. The signal had been sent. Chancellor. Laurel stood above her people in the council chamber. "We have asked for help," she said, her voice echoing. "Do not know if they will come. I do not know what they will do if they do come, but we had no other choice," an old senator whispered. "The humans haven't answered anyone in 300 years. Another said, "What if they attack us too?" Laurel's eyes stayed firm. "Then we will face that when it comes. Right now, the Drexer are the bigger threat." Outside the chamber, Drexer ships closed in. Black as shadows, shaped like daggers, they began their final assault on the capital city. But just before the attack began, the skies changed. The first ripple in the stars from nothing, a giant hole opened in the sky. Out. It was silent, smooth, and unnatural. Then another. Then 5 more. 12 massive dark gates tore through space around Varelia. They weren't Drexer technology. They weren't VIRELIM. They were something else. A soldier on the ground gasped. "Are those more enemies?" "No," said another, his eyes wide with fear. "Look." Through the gates came ships, thousands of them, enormous, silver and black, shaped like spears and hammers. Each one bristled with weapons, cannons, and strange devices glowing blue. At the front of the fleet was a single ship, bigger than the rest. On its side, a single word glowed in red: TITANUS. Data Varelian tech whispered, "That's a human ship." The voice that shook the stars, a signal broadcast across every frequency. The Drexer picked it up. The Varelians heard it too. A human voice. Calm, deep, Final. To the Drexer Dominion, you attacked a protected world. You ignored the warnings. You will now be removed. To the Varelian people, you asked for help. We heard you. And then it began. The sky burns. The first Drexer warship tried to fire. It didn't get the chance. A blue beam from a human destroyer sliced it in half. The explosion lit the clouds. Human fighters zipped through the smoke like ghosts, targeting every Drexer ship with perfect precision in just 30 seconds. 12 Drexer cruisers were gone. In 2 minutes, the entire invasion fleet was in retreat. One Drexer commander screamed into his comms, "Where did these humans come from?" Another shouted, "They weren't supposed to exist?" But it was too late. The humans were here, and they weren't just defending Varelia. They were ending the war. Back in the capital, Chancellor Laurel looked up through the cracked windows of the council chamber. The sky was full of fire, but she smiled. "They came," she whispered. "The humans came," her aide asked. "What now?" She replied, "Now. We find out what kind of protectors they truly are." Final scene, hidden human meeting room aboard the Titanus. Deep in the command deck, Admiral Miles stood with his officers. The screen showed Varelia below, smoke rising, Drexer fleeing. An AI voice said, "Phase 1, complete." Miles nodded. "Prepare the next wave." "What should I tell the Varelians?" the AI asked. The Admiral smiled coldly. "Tell them this was just the start." The stars seemed quiet across the galaxy, but in the cold shadows between them, humans were already watching. They had always been watching. Unknown location. Human black zone. Observation grid Eco 7 in a vast, silent area of space far from any known star system. A hidden structure floated. It was invisible to all sensors, covered in black shielding of signals. No light inside. Thousands of screens glowed in the dark. Each screen showed a different world. Alien cities, political meetings, space battles. Even private communications. In the center of the room stood a single man. His name was Director Kane. He wore a long black coat with a small silver pin shaped like Earth. Behind him, a tall AI drone hovered quietly. "The Varelian signal has been confirmed," it said. Kane didn't move. His cold eyes stared at the footage of the Drexer attacking. "Varelia, how long has it been?" he asked. The drone replied, 312 years since the last emergency beacon was used." Kane turned slowly, and they dared to use it. Flashback. Why humanity disappeared. Centuries ago, humans had ruled great parts of the galaxy. They had trade alliances, science pacts, peace treaties with alien empires. But then came betrayal. A war between two alien races spilled into human territory. Human colonies were destroyed. Billions died. No apology ever came. No help. Just silence. The humans left. They turned inward. Cut off all contact. Disappeared from galactic politics. Everyone thought humanity was done. But in truth, they were preparing present Earth's hidden defense council. Earth. Deep below the surface, a council of 6 gathered in a secure black chamber. Holograms showed the Varelian system. The images were terrifying burning cities, Drexer, warships, and finally the arrival of 12,000 human ships. One council member said, "We should not reveal our full strength." Another replied, "We already have." Council leader Myra stood. Her voice was clear. "The Varelians used the beacon. That means they're under old protection laws. We're bound to respond." Another member asked, "Even after all these years, do we still honor that?" Myra's answer was simple. "We are human. We always remember who asked us for help, especially when no one else came." Board the flagship TINUS, the human fleet, floated above Varelia. All 12,000 ships were in perfect formation. Drexer ships had fled. Those who didn't no longer existed. Admiral Miles stood at the center of the command bridge. He had gray in his beard, sharp blue eyes, and a scar across his neck, kerned in the Battle of Epsilon Prime. He watched silent footage of the Varelian. People cheering in the streets. They had no idea what humanity truly was now. Commander. Rix, Miles said. A younger officer stepped forward. Yes, sir. Begin ghost sweep. Check for hidden Drexer vessels. No survivors. Yes, sir. Behind them, Human A's began scanning every inch of the system. Any hidden Drexer would be found and destroyed. Human technology had evolved. These were not the same humans the galaxy remembered. Their warships ran on black core reactors. Their ASCs were advanced enough to predict enemy movement seconds before it happened. Their soldiers used exo-frames that made them nearly invincible on the battlefield. They had stealth ships that could hide inside suns, and their most powerful weapon wasn't a bomb. It was knowledge. They had watched the galaxy for 300 years. They knew everything, every weakness, every secret, every betrayal, and now they were using it. The galaxy begins to panic far away. In the Galactic Council Hall, alien ambassadors screamed over each other. Holograms showed the human fleet in orbit above Varelia. One ambassador shouted, "Why are they back?" Another screamed, 12,000 warships. That's not that's an invasion. A third whispered. They were watching all along. The council tried to reach the human fleet. No reply. Humanity had no interest in talking. They were focused on one thing: ending the threat. Inside Drexer High Command in the Drexer homeworld, panic spread. Supreme Warlord Trex threw a cup against the wall. Who are these cursed humans? Where did they come from? His generals stood in silence. Finally, one of them spoke. We thought they were extinct. That's what the record said. Trex turned slowly. They were hiding, waiting, watching. He slammed his fist on the table. Send all remaining fleets. Prepare for full war. The generals hesitated. What now? Trex asked. One replied, Our fleets are too far. It's the humans. They already destroyed our forward bases. They knew where we'd be. Trex froze. They were watching us too. Human message to the Varelians back on Varelia. The Varelians gathered in the main capital square. A giant human screen activated. A voice came through comm, powerful and cold. Varelian people, this is Admiral Miles of the Human Defense Fleet. You are under our protection now. The Drexer will no longer harm you. We will stay until the threat is ended. We came not for glory, not for conquest. We came because you asked. We never ignore a call for help. The message ended. Varelians wept, cheered, but some whispered, if this is what they do to enemies, what will they do to the rest of us? Inside a human intelligence center, Secret Report A, Secret Human, report was sent to Earth. Title Drexer. Empire Assessment and Elimination Plan. Inside the report, known Drexer shipyards marked for destruction. Drexer fuel depots, targeted. Drexer communication hubs, already jammed. Probability of Drexer survival, 2.4% at the bottom of the report. A single line read, Begin Phase 2 upon High Command approval. Final scene. Admiral Miles' final words back on the bridge of the Titanus. Admiral Miles stood before a glowing display of stars. He whispered to himself, They watched us suffer once. They forgot us, left us behind. He looked toward the Drexer system. Now they'll remember us forever. The stars above Varelia were calm for only a moment. Then the sky tore open. 12,000 human warships dropped out of hyperspace at once, one by one. Silent, cold, perfect in their deadly formation. It looked like a wall of death in orbit. Drexer Panic Commander Relcor of the Drexer fleet stood frozen on his bridge. He had seen wars. He had seen massive armadas, but nothing like this. He screamed to his crew, What are they? Where did they come from? Sensors overloaded. Tactical computers crashed. None of the Drexer systems could track all 12,000 targets. The humans weren't using standard FTL lanes. It arrived using quantum phase drives technology Drexer scientists had believed impossible. Ships shaped like hammers, spears, and knives hovered above Varelia. Some were the size of cities. Others were small, fast, and sharp like razors. Each one had no visible bridge, no lights. Just glowing red tracking nodes and rotating weapons pointed directly at the Drexer fleet. Varelia watches in shock. In the surface, millions of Varelians stared up into the sky. What they saw looked like a second moon, cold, dark, and sharp. The stars were now hidden behind 12,000 massive shapes. Even children fell silent. No one cheered yet, because no one knew what the humans were going to do. Human. War room. The order aboard, the human flagship Titanus. Admiral Miles stood. At the command console, the red battle map glowed with Drexer positions. Phase 2 is green, the AI said. Miles gave one nod. Execute all units. Open fire. No further orders were given, because the warships already knew what to do. 32 seconds of fire, the sky exploded. The first human destroyer launched graviton warheads, one cracking Drexer shields instantly. Human stealth bombers, previously invisible, uncloaked inside the Drexer formation, planted void mines, and vanished again in just 32 seconds. 42 Drexer warships were completely destroyed. In the next 10 seconds, their orbital command centers ceased to exist, cut in half by a thin, silent beam of pure energy. The Drexer tried to fire back, but every single Drexer missile was jammed, redirected, or vaporized before launch. They had no chance. Varelian broadcast tower the message suddenly. Every Varelian screen turned on. A human voice came through. To the Drexer, this is Admiral Miles of the Human Defense Fleet. You entered restricted space. You targeted a protected species. You ignored warnings. This was your final mistake. You have 5 minutes to evacuate any survivors. After that, nothing remains. Inside the Drexer flagship, Commander Relcor stared at the smoke pouring from his ceiling. Sparks rained down. His bridge crew was screaming. Send everything we have. He roared. Hit them, hit them. The junior officer screamed. We can't. Weapons offline, engines locked. They've hacked our systems. Relcor's body shook with rage. There are only humans. But in his heart, he knew. These were not the same humans the galaxy remembered. These humans had evolved. The Varelians' realization in the Varelian capital. High Chancellor Lurel stood at the tower window. Her advisors gathered around her, speechless. One whispered, "This is not a rescue fleet. It's a force of gods." Lurel nodded. Hey, this isn't just about saving us. Another said, "It's a demonstration, a warning to the whole galaxy."
Lurel
replied, "No, it's something worse. They're angry." Drexer tries to flee. 3 Drexer battleships tried to flee the battlefield. Turning hard toward the outer edge of the system, they didn't make it. 2 were destroyed instantly by precision kinetic rounds from a human sniper ship over 2 million kilometers away. The 3rd was disabled. Humans boarded it using Phase Troopers, elite soldiers with teleport armor, AI shields, and shock weapons. The Drexer crew never stood a chance. The ship was taken in 2 minutes. Without a single human death, galactic news feeds hijacked human AI. Agents infiltrated over 200 galactic news networks. Suddenly, across the galaxy, alien worlds were watching the battle over Varelia in real time. Everyone saw the 12,000 human warships move in perfect silence. Everyone saw the Drexer scream. Everyone saw what humanity had become, and fear spread faster than light. Human technology, beyond belief. Alien scientists watching the footage began analyzing the weapons. They're using energy types we don't even recognize. One whispered, "Those are singularity engines." Another shouted, "No, they've made anti-gravity artillery." That's impossible. Every alien empire watching realized the same terrible truth. The humans had stopped sharing. They had advanced in secret, and they had come back. It's unstoppable. The Drexer's final move, a desperation attack. Commander Relcor, coughing blood, activated the last weapon in his flagship. The Starcracker missile, illegal bomb designed to turn planet into dust. He aimed it at Varelia. "I'll take them with us," he screamed. He launched it, but the missile didn't travel far. One of the human destroyers, the HDS Rathburn, intercepted it with a gravity anchor. The missile stopped mid-flight, hovered, then imploded into itself. Gone. No trace. Admiral Miles responds back on the Titanus. Admiral Miles watched calmly. He turned to his second officer. Any Drexer ships left? 4, crippled, begging for mercy. Miles gave a simple nod. Disable them, let the Varelians decide their fate. Then he turned toward the main screen. Send a message to Earth. Phase 2 complete. Varelia, after the battle, the sky slowly cleared. The smoke faded. The Drexer were gone. Varelian citizens poured into the streets. Staring up at the massive human fleet, they still said nothing, until one small child raised her hand to the sky and whispered, "Thank you." Then the city erupted in cheers for the first time in days. The Varelians felt hope. Final scene, human fleet holding position. The 12,000 warships stayed in orbit, silent. Watching, they didn't land. They didn't ask for thanks. They simply stood guard, because the war wasn't over yet, and humanity was only getting started. The Drexer homeworld of Varnic Prime was built for war. Dark towers pierced the red sky. The ground shook from massive factories forging warships day and night. Their capital, Kreltok, was always alive with energy. But today, it was silent. The war drums had stopped because something had changed, something terrifying. Supreme Warlord. Trex receives the news in the heart of the Drexer military citadel. Supreme Warlord Trex paced the war chamber. His skin was armored and dark, his arms thick like stone. He had crushed 5 rebellions, destroyed 3 species, and never once felt fear. Until now, a bloodied officer stumbled in. "Warlord, we've lost the Varelian system. It's the human fleet. Destroyed everything," Trex growled. "That's impossible." The officer shook. "They came through non-traceable jumps. Their weapons are beyond anything we've seen. We lost over 300 warships in minutes." Trex slammed a fist into the war table. "Who are these ghosts?" A new voice answered him. "The humans," said High Strategist Karth. "They've returned." The name that was buried, the room fell silent. Trex narrowed his eyes. Humans. They were wiped out. Karth tapped on a holopanel. Dozens of old reports appeared, classified files. "Long buried by Drexer High Command. 3 centuries ago, we fought a border skirmish near their space," Karth said. "We destroyed 2 of their colonies. Then they vanished," Trex growled. "Why wasn't I told?" Karth's voice was low. "Because those colonies weren't part of their military. They were civilian." Trex's jaw tightened. "We thought they were weak," Karth continued. "So did the rest of the galaxy. We were wrong. The Galactic Council is terrified. A neutral world called Delverin 3. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Alien leaders shouted across the Great Dome. The humans attacked with 12,000 warships. They crushed the Drexer like ants. Isn't it its dominance? We must respond." But none of them agreed on what to do. One ambassador, a pale-skinned Malari, said, "If we speak against them, we might be next." Another, from the Sorrentha, whispered, "We betrayed them once. They never forgot, and now, showing us what they've become." Fear spread. Fast, no one wanted to speak to Earth, and no one wanted to provoke the humans. Back on Drexer, High Command, a desperate Plantrix, stood before his council of generals. "We cannot allow this insult. Varnic Prime must not appear weak," one general growled. "We must strike first. Full assault. All systems. Burn Earth down before they reach us." Another shouted, "We don't even know where Earth is." "They've erased themselves from every galactic map," Karth said. "Even if we could find them, they're prepared for us. They've built fleets we cannot match. Technology we cannot defend against." Trex roared. "Then build new weapons. Recall the shadow fleets. Prepare the dark engines." The generals exchanged worried glances. Trex barked, "Do it." In the shadows of Drexer space, a secret weapon on a hidden moon called Zerthok V. Drexer scientists had been working on an illegal weapon. It was massive, larger than a city buried. Deep underground, the dark engine. A cannon that could rip open stars and turn planets into black holes. But it was unstable, never tested now. They had no choice. Trex ordered it armed. "If we must die, we'll take them with us," he snarled. A message from the humans suddenly. Without warning, every Drexer communication system flashed red. A voice came through. "This is Admiral Miles, of the Human Defense Fleet. We are aware of your dark engine on Zerthok V. We suggest you shut it down. Immediately." Trex's eyes widened. How did they know? Base is cloaked, Karth whispered. "They're already watching us?" Human AIs had infiltrated Drexer networks known to the Drexer. Human artificial intelligences had already entered their systems weeks ago. Stealth probes had mapped every base. Their secret labs, war plans, fleet paths all exposed. Every Drexer. Command was being read before it was given. The humans were not just fighting from the sky. They were inside Drexer space already. Fear grips the Drexer people for the first time in generations. The Drexer civilians saw weakness in their empire. They watched the destruction of their mighty fleets on pirate broadcasts. They saw human ships hovering like gods over Varelia. Whispers began. "The humans have returned. They know everything. We're next." A quiet terror grew. Even Drexer soldiers began to question if the war was worth it. Trex tries to rally the Imperatrix appeared on all Drexer broadcasts. He stood before a giant banner and growled into the camera. "These humans think we are afraid. They are wrong. We are Drexer, born for war, raised for conquest. We will strike them first. We will burn their worlds." He ended the speech with a loud roar. But the people didn't cheer. They watched in silence, because behind his voice, they saw something they had never seen before in a Drexer leader. Doubt on Earth. A decision is made far away, deep under Earth's surface. The Human Defense Council met again. Council leader Mayra reviewed the latest intel. "Drexer are arming the Dark Engine," said an AI. "We could strike now," another general said. "End the war before it begins." But Mayra raised her hand. "We will give them one final choice." Final scene, the human ultimatum, and the bridge of the Titaness. Admiral Miles prepared the final transmission. "To the Drexer Dominion," he said. "You have 48 hours. Shut down all war production. Disarm your fleet. Stand down your super weapons, or face extinction. We'll not ask again." The stars had always been humanity's dream. But something changed. They didn't vanish. They chose to walk away. And now, Galaxy was remembering why. Varillian capital. The meeting inside the High Council Hall. Varillian leaders waited nervously. The humans had finally agreed to meet them. But instead of a flesh and blood person, a small drone floated into the chamber. Its body was sleek, black, and silent. A glowing blue eye scanned the room. Then it spoke. "I am Arden 7, AI envoy of the Human Defense Fleet." Chancellor Lurel stood to greet it. "We thank you for protecting our world. We didn't expect your return." Arden 7 paused. "Neither did the galaxy." Lurel asked carefully, "Why did humanity leave all those years ago? Why vanish after building so much?" The AI was quiet for a moment, then it answered. Flashback, the fall of the Alliance 3. 100 years ago, humanity was part of the Galactic Council. They had allies, trade partners, shared technology and dreams of peace. But one day, war came. Two alien empires, the Zoran Unity and the Tarnak Hegemony, began fighting over a mining world on the border of human space. Humanity begged for peace. They offered to help negotiate, but no one listened. The war spilled into human space. 12 colonies were destroyed. 4 billion civilians died. No punishment was given to either alien power. No apology, not even an investigation. The Galactic Council said only, "It was unfortunate." The day humanity walked Aworth, withdrew from the council the next day. Ambassadors returned home. Trade routes shut down. Communications went silent. For years no one heard from them. Everyone thought they were sulking, weak, broken. But Earth wasn't broken. It was building, preparing, changing. Verilian Council. Reaxor Densivin's voice echoed. "In the chamber, we left not because we were defeated. We left because the galaxy showed us the truth." Lurel asked, "What truth?" The AI turned slowly. "That when humans are in danger, no one helps. That when our children burn the stars, stay silent. One Varelian elder whispered. You turned inward. Yes, said the AI, and we did what humans always do. We adapted. The new Earth, while the galaxy moved on, humans worked in secret. They built hidden cities. Beneath their planets, they studied ancient science. They pushed the limits of AI, biology. They made mistakes, terrible ones, but they kept going. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't need approval. They created new weapons, new engines, new minds. And finally, they made the silent Armadath, the 12,000 warships now orbiting Varelia. Admiral Miles, the man who remembered back on the human flagship Titanus. Admiral Miles stood alone in his chamber. A hologram glowed before him, an old photo. A family, a colony, gone now. Burned during the Zoran-Tarnok War. He stared at it in silence, then turned to the stars outside. I haven't forgotten, he whispered, and I never will. Behind him, his AI assistant spoke. The Drexer have 28 hours left. Miles nodded. If they don't surrender, we finish this. On the Drexer homeworld, a council divided in a dark fortress, Trex argued with his top advisors. We will not bow to them. He shouted, We are the Drexer Dominion. Karth stepped forward. But for how much longer? Trex's eyes narrowed. You sound afraid. I am, Karth admitted, because the humans are not what we thought. He activated a screen. This is a human child. Burned alive during our last war with them. Another image. A destroyed colony. A crying mother. Human soldiers being buried. They remember Trex, Karth said quietly.
Ow.
They always remember. The message Earth sent that no one heard 300 years ago. After the massacre of their colonies, Earth sent one final message to the galaxy. Few remember it, but Arden 7 played it now inside the Varelian chamber. We asked for peace. We gave our trust. You watched us burn. You said nothing. So now we will protect ourselves. And when the stars cry out again, we will answer. But not for the council. Not for the politics. Only for the innocent. Only for those who never turned away. Liral's heartbreaks Chancellor Liral stood silent. Eyes glassy, she realized the truth. The humans hadn't returned for power. Or control. They had come back. Because someone asked for help. Someone who reminded them of themselves, a small planet.
Outmatched, innocent, alone.
And humanity had never forgotten what that felt like. Drexer tries one last trick in a final act. Of desperation, Trex launched a false signal. It was designed to make it look like the humans were attacking peaceful colonies. He hoped the Galactic Council would intervene. But the humans already knew. Their eyes intercepted the fake signal before. It left the system. It was over. The lie didn't work. And now? Earth was done waiting. Final scene, humanity's choice. The human. Council met for the last time before judgment. Council leader Mayera said, The Drexer chose war. They refused every warning. A general asked, Do we erase them? Silence. Followed. Then Mayera spoke. We gave them a chance. She turned to her AI advisor. Tell Admiral Miles, begin Phase 3. The Drexer Empire had never lost a war until now, but even in the face of human power, they tried to strike back. They prepared one final counterattack, a surprise assault, a last gamble. It failed, the secret. Drexer Armada while Varnic Prime stalled, and Trex shouted threats on public channels. Something else moved in the dark. A hidden fleet, 4,000 Drexer. Warships gathered in deep space behind a dying star. These were elite ships, silent and black, powered by experimental cores. Their orders were clear. Attack the humans from behind. Cut their supply lines. Strike their command. It was called Operation Black Claw. If it worked, humanity would bleed if it failed. The Drexer would have nothing left. Human spies had already seen it on board the human stealth frigate Wraith 12. AI agent Coda had been watching. Coda had no face. No body, just a single eye-like sphere inside the ship. She had followed the Drexer signals, hacked their encrypted fleet logs, read every plan as it was written. When she saw Operation Black Claw, she smiled. They still believe we don't know, she whispered to herself. Then she transmitted a single message across a dark line network to Titanus. They're coming. Admiral Miles prepares a trap admiral. Miles stood in silence after reading the report. Then he walked to the war table and pointed at a star system called Garnex 4. Move the silent fleet here, said his officers blinked. But sir. Uninhabited. Empty. Miles nodded. Exactly. That's where we wait. Behind him, 3,000 invisible ships move through slipspace fast, quiet, and completely undetectable. Operation Black Claw begins. The Drexer fleet jumped into Garnex-4. They were confident, arrogant. There are no human ships here, said one commander. Move to position. Prepare to flank Varelian orbit? They didn't know the humans were already watching. They didn't know their plan was a trap. The sky tears open again exactly 18 minutes after Drexer arrival. Space shattered. 3,000 human warships uncloaked around. The system, they had surrounded the Drexer without firing a single shot. For a moment, there was silence. Then Admiral Miles' voice echoed through the Drexer comms. We knew. We were waiting. Now it's our turn. The ambush to battle began instantly. Human railguns launched from 5 million kilometers away, punching straight through Drexer armor. Microdrones invaded Drexer systems, shutting down shields mid-fight. Human stealth cruisers used echo jump, tech appearing inside Drexer formations and unloading plasma salvos before vanishing again in the first 2 minutes. 1,100 Drexer ships were destroyed. One Drexer commander screamed, "They're inside our systems? They're inside our minds." His ship exploded seconds later. The collapsed Drexer fleet tried to retreat. Too late. Human web ships locked them in place, generating artificial gravity fields that crushed Drexer engines. Some Drexer tried to self-destruct. Humans jammed the core signals. They couldn't even die on their own terms. One by one, they fell. Burning wrecks floated through Garnax 4's empty space. Final moments of operation. Black Clonely 12 Drexer ships remained. They sent a single, desperate message. We surrender. Please, Admiral Miles gave the order. Board them. Take their commanders alive. Extract everything, Zaya whispered. We'll know every last plan. Virilia receives the Nusen Virilia. Chancellor Luril stood on a balcony as the news came in. An aide ran up, breathless. It's over. The Drexer counterattack failed. They're calling it the worst defeat in their history, Luril whispered. What will the humans do next? No one answered, because no one knew. On Drexer High Command, Collapse Beginstrex stood in the war chamber, staring at a silent screen. No updates, no ships returning, just silence. Karth entered. The fleet is gone. Trex didn't blink. All of them. Karth nodded. We've lost almost everything. The humans knew. Trex's jaw tightened. They're not just fighting with ships, Karth's voice dropped. They're fighting with information. Across the galaxy, the message echoes pirate. Stations picked up the signal from Garnex-4. News networks played shaky footage of human ships. Moving like shadows, alien empires whispered in fear. The Drexer are falling. The humans are unstoppable. They knew everything before it happened. Panic spread. Some began locking their borders. Others sent quiet messages to Earth. Please don't come here. Earth receives the Victory Codeine, a dark chamber below Earth's surface. Council leader Mayara sat with 6 others. A message arrived from Admiral Miles. Operation Black Claw, neutralized. No human losses. Drexer assets compromised. Commanders captured. Proceeding to final stage. Mayra leaned back in her chair. It's time. She tapped her console. Begin Phase 4. What is Phase 4? No one outside of Earth knows what Phase 4 truly is, but rumors say it involves AI, psychological warfare, full planetary shutdown of enemy tech, civil unrest, manipulation targeted, memory collapse not with guns, but with control. And now that the Drexer were broken, humanity would finish what it started. The Drexer once ruled 200 star systems. Their war fleets crushed empires. Their enemies feared even their name. But now, they feared silence, because it meant the humans were near. Drexer homeworld Varnak-primed sky over the Drexer capital had always been filled with thunder, ships launching, factories screaming, war banners flying. Now it was quiet. No ships launched, no banners waved, only smoke. Trex stood alone in the war room. All screens were dark. His officers were either dead or missing. The Empire was collapsing, and the humans hadn't even landed yet. Captured Drexer commanders, speaking orbit above the planet. Admiral Miles watched as Interrogation A's worked on the 12 captured Drexer. Commanders from Operation Black Claw, they didn't scream, they didn't resist, they confessed fast. Every hidden base, every backup fleet, every shadow project. Human A sorted it all within hours. Admiral Miles nodded. Send it to Earth. Phase for begins on Earth. Council Leader Mera gave the order. Activate Phase 4. Across the stars, human cyber units launched invisible strikes. Drexer banks crashed, food storage AI systems shut down, civilian drones stopped midair. Power stations failed, communication hubs fried from within. The Drexer homeworld was falling. Apart without a single shot fired, their own systems turned against them. Drexer society breaks without control. Civilian cities turned into chaos. No lights. No food, no transport, no hope. Riots began in the southern sectors, then in the east. Local leaders tried to call for order, but all communication lines were dead. A single phrase appeared on every blacked out. Screen, we warned you, then silence. Trex watches his empire die in the great tower of Kreltok. Warlord Trex stood at the balcony below. Fires burned across the capital. He spoke to no one, because there was no one left. His personal guards had vanished. His generals were either captured or killed by their own soldiers. He looked up at the sky. 12 human. Warships hovered in perfect formation, watching, not firing, just watching, surrender, or burn. A small drone floated down into the Drexer tower. Its eye glowed blue. It projected a hologram of Admiral Miles. Trex of the Drexer Dominion, Miles said. This is your final message. You will order your forces to stand down, you will open your systems to our control, or we will erase your species. Trex growled. You think you're gods? Miles didn't blink. No, we're humans. We just never forgot. Trex tries one last time. Trex broadcast one final message across his empire. He begged his people to rise, to fight the outsiders, to protect the Drexer name. But no one answered. Not a single response. Because the people were done. Tired of war. Tired of lies. Tired of losing the fall of Varnik Primean. Hour later, human ships descended over Varnik Prime. Not to destroy, but to restore order. AI peace drones landed across cities. They restored power, dropped food, healed the sick. Human engineers rebooted Drexer System Zone, now under strict human control. No soldiers marched through the streets, no bombs dropped, but everyone understood. The Drexer Empire was over. The trial of Trex days later. Trex was placed in a dark courtroom aboard the human dreadnought HDS. Justicar, he was chained, tired, broken. His crimes were listed. Genocide of 3 minor species, destruction of 12 human, colonies' use of forbidden weapons, 3 billion civilian deaths. Trex tried to speak. I did what any ruler would. He was cut off. The judge, a neutral AI, spoke. You did not lead. You hunted. You are guilty. You will never speak again. Trex was removed. He vanished from history. No one knows what happened next. A new era begins with Drexer systems offline. The galaxy changed. Over 40 slave worlds were freed by humans. Dozens of exiled species were given back their homeworlds. The warlords, pirates, and black market kings who served the Drexer disappeared. Some were arrested. Some simply vanished. Humanity didn't brag. They didn't build statues. They didn't declare victory. They just restored balance and moved on. Viarelia sends a message back on Viarelia. Leah Chancellor Liorel sent a private message to Earth. You came when no one else did. You saved us without asking for a reward. How can we repay you? The reply came hours later. Simple. Teach your people what we taught ours. Never let history repeat. Earth's final words to the Galaxy A message was sent from Earth. It played on all major galactic channels. It showed a black screen, then stars, then Earth itself, then a voice. We remember pain. We remember betrayal. But we do not forget the innocent. We do not forget the call for help. This is not conquest. This is a reminder. We are humanity. We have returned. The galaxy watches. In silence, no one dared speak against them. No. Empire challenged them. The 12,000 ships stayed in orbit for 2 more days. Then, one by one, they vanished, back into the dark, back into the unknown. The Drexer Empire was gone. Their war machines were silent. Their homeworld was peaceful for the first time in centuries. But the galaxy still whispered, because the humans hadn't just won a war, they had returned, and no one knew what they would do next. Back on Earth, it's a council's final session, far beneath the surface of Earth. In a hidden chamber surrounded by lightless stone, the Human Defense Council gathered. The room was quiet. Council leader Mara looked at the others. The Drexer threat is over, the general asked. Should we continue expansion? Another whispered. They all fear us now. Could reshape the galaxy. Dud. But Mara shook her head. No, that's not who we are. We didn't come back to rule. We came back to remind them that humanity remembers. Virelia celebrates in the capital city of Virelia for the first time in generations. The skies were blue and calm. Children ran through the streets. Families rebuilt homes. Music returned to the plazas. And everywhere the same image played on their screens. A single human ship, pulling away from orbit, leaving quietly. There were no parades, no speeches, just one message sent to Virelian leadership. You are safe now. Be better than those who hurt you. Alien empires begin to change. The shock of the Drexer collapse rippled across the stars. The Vor Syndicate, once known for slave trades, suddenly opened negotiations with humanitarian groups. The Tarnok hegemony, once proud and brutal, halted all border conflicts and issued a message. We seek peace with all former enemies. Even the mighty Zoran Unity, the ones who helped destroy human colonies long ago, requested a secret meeting with Earth. Fear had changed them, but something else had too. Respect Admiral Miles stands alone aboard the quiet warship Titanus. Admiral? Miles walked alone to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before him in his hand. He held a photo. His family, his colony, all gone. So many years ago, he hadn't come back for revenge. He came back because no one else had. Behind him, his AI spoke gently. We received a final message from Earth. Miles nodded. Play it. The final message from Earth across the stars? One last message was transmitted. It was not loud. It was not angry. It was simple. A black screen, white words, a human voice. To those who watched us burn, we have not forgotten. To those who caused the burning, we have forgiven but not trusted. To those who call for help, we will come. We are not conquerors. We are not saviors. We are something the galaxy never understood. We are humanity. We remember everything. What the galaxy finally understood, it wasn't just about ships or technology or weapons. It was about the will of a species, the drive to survive when abandoned, the heart to protect when no one else would, the strength to walk alone for 300 years and come back stronger than everyone else. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity never forgets, and when they return as one. The legacy of the returning the centuries to come, many things would change. Empires fell. Others rose. Wars ended. Sooner. Peace lasted longer because every species remembered what they saw. 12,000 ships in perfect silence. No warnings, no arrogance. Just resolve. Children across the stars ask, In schools on alien worlds, children asked, "Why do humans protect the weak?" Teachers would smile and say, "Because no one protected them." The final scene, humanity watches again deep in space. Near an uncharted system, human scout ship received a signal. A weak one. A small colony. Uncontacted. Afraid. The human officer listened to it in silence, then smiled. She looked to her AI. "Companion, prep the fleet," the AI asked. "Shall I notify command?" She replied, "No need. They asked for help. You already know what happens next." End of Part 8. The full story is complete. Series title, They Asked. For help, but 12,000 human warships arrived instead. HFY Best Sci-Fi Tale.